Toys. What else is that part? It's music. Cake. Okay. Laughter. Dancing.
Dogs.
Is there F still?
You want to help your mother with things? Hey, Greg. Chris.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Hanging in there. How you doing?
I'm surviving. It was my first day back from vacation, so that's always a nightmare.
Yeah. Now you need a vacation.
I do. I need a vacation for my vacation.
Yeah.
Hey everybody. I have to go feed my dog. So I'll be back in like 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay.
If
Come on.
Joelle wants to start, it's fine. You know. Come on.
I had my volume down, so I couldn't hear people.
Oh, is Chris just saying he had to go feed his dog? He'll be back in a minute.
Oh, okay.
Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's okay.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Emily.
Hello.
Sorry, my video's off. I have a really bad connection, so I apologize for just my name.
We'll miss seeing your face.
Good to see you.
Hey, Joelle, and I didn't receive the email from you that you wanted me to display.
You did not. I sent it. Hold on, let me check. And looks like Chris is in California.
He's gone to feed his dog.
In California?
Hopefully.
All right, let me check. Sorry. All right. Here.
And I just sent I had sent my proposed resolution to Chris, I think Tuesday. And so I just sent what I had sent to Chris to the D&D email address.
Right. Well, I don't think we're going to be able to talk about it tonight. Well, I mean, we could try and talk about it later, just in general, but it. I think the two of you should probably work out a first draft to send to us. All right, hold on, Chris. I found it. I mean, Rick. Sorry. Let me just send this. It's titled Questions. All right. Did you get it?
Not quite yet, but give me a minute.
All right. I'm going to try it on my, I'm going to send it 2 ways, okay, just in case. All right, I sent it 2 ways. Hopefully you can get it. Let me get back to this. Okay, sorry for that slight delay. We are the Justice, Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee. And welcome everybody. So I think, yeah, we have a quorum, although I don't think well, we might make decisions tonight, I don't know. So are there any changes to the agenda? Okay, seeing none. The first item on the agenda is kind of a continuation of the, the discussion we've been having about how to support the city's efforts to recover from the flood. So Rick, were you able to get that document?
I have it. You want me to open it now?
Please, yeah. So what I did was I went through the assessment tool that we talked about last meeting, and I pulled out those questions on the in the document that really, I think, based on what I'm learning about what the plans are, would perhaps address what could be missing from the information needed to make appropriate plans for reconstruction. So a couple of things have happened since our last meeting. One is the plan has been, or the proposed plan has been published. Hold on a second, sorry. John, you'll have to call back. I'm on Zoom. Okay.
Oh.
Sorry about that. So anyway, so that's it. That was an issue. Here it is. Okay, great. So what I thought we could do is maybe figure out a way to help the city. Because here's the thing, no matter who develops, they're all developing in the same area. So these questions would relate to each development, not just, you know, one development. It's kind of designed to be used as a tool for real specific things. But I think what we can do is look at the questions and see if we already, if we think we already have those answers in-house somewhere, or if we have to figure out how to get this information. So a couple of things. Also, I've been trying really hard to figure out where all the data is that was collected during the flood in the flood zones. And we know from the state that that FEMA collected a lot of data that they were sharing with the state. That's how we found out that there are 50 families at least 50 families who are currently still without heat, without a heating system in their homes. So And when we asked them if they would share that information with the community, it wasn't clear to me that could easily happen. And then I tried to get a hold of folks who were actually doing the surveying of the community, and the only person I could find, because she has to respond to me, it's my daughter, is Emma. And I asked her, I said, well, what kind of documentation, what were you asking people
You say,
door to door?
had to what with my daughter?
Yeah,
Tried to get to somebody who knew about the community, and the only person I could get was.
Josh, I think your microphone is on. So, so I think that so she said that the documents that they had in hand when they went door to door were the documents that people would fill out for FEMA and describing what their problems were. And when I asked if there were any other questions, like what their ethnic background was, what their income level was, you know, those kinds of questions that we think about when we think about equity. She said no, that there weren't any questions. There was no, you know, questionnaire that she filled out for each house. It was just handing out these documents to people so that they could report it to FEMA. So, so let's go through this. So I'm thinking that maybe one of our best things to do right now is, since we're on the kick of education anyway, is educating ourselves about what the community is like. Now, I want to warn you, when you're in that little box on the side, I really have trouble seeing you. So please don't be annoyed if I don't call on you right away. I'm trying to keep track, but you can certainly remind me and shout out if I've missed you, okay? All right. So the first question is, does this proposal advance a strategic goal and/or key performance indicator of Barre City Municipal Plan or strategic plan? If yes, which? So I do have a copy. It's actually, Rick, has it been ratified yet? I don't know. This is the strategic plan. Maybe Rick isn't there. Rick. Okay, well, I'll ask him when he comes back in. I'm not sure, but I do
find
have,
it on mute. It
Yeah.
moved up to the top of the screen on me.
oh,
What were you asking?
I was asking if you know if the city has finally approved of the strategic plan.
I don't know for sure. I can
Okay.
ask tomorrow and I can email you.
Yeah, please do. I have one of the, it probably isn't the latest edit of it, but I do have a copy, and I checked, because there's no specific proposal, I checked against the strategic plan to see how housing fit in there. And indeed, in the strategic plan, there is obviously mention about housing. So we would have to look, that one would have to be looked at, I think, proposal by proposal. So yeah, if you could let me know that, Rick, that would be great. And then if it has been ratified, if you could send us each a copy.
I can do that.
Thanks. So the next question is, do you have sufficient population level data to understand whether the proposal would address or create any racial or economic disparities? If not, what data would be needed? Well, you know, in terms of economic disparity, we certainly have the Washington County information, but I don't think it's specific enough if we're looking at a defined geographic area. And when I look at that plan, by the way, who has seen the plan besides folks who were either at the meeting on Tuesday? They showed it on the screen, so you haven't seen the plan, eh? All right, well, I haven't studied it I've looked at it, I've studied it. It seems like the catchment area for this development includes actually more territory than was affected by the flood, which I found interesting. And it's not specific about who would own these pieces of property, and so it's really hard to tell if this would be the kind of project that might lift people up out of poverty. In other words, offer them an opportunity to invest somehow in their dwelling. So I think this is a big question to figure out. if we have the data to understand actually who lives in that area of the community. And so I know that we can collect some basic general data that isn't house specific, but I think in this case, in order to remedy people's situation, we would have to do that. So here's what I'm asking in this question, and a couple of the others too. How do you think we can assist in getting this kind of information, this real specific data, to the city for planning in the future? Does anyone have any ideas? Okay, I have a question, another question for Rick.
I
Rick, are you
think
there?
you're,
Emily has her hands up.
Hi,
Thank you
Jamila.
for telling me.
Sorry.
Sorry, Emily, go ahead.
I'll just chime in. So sorry to interrupt.
Please do. I can't see you. Oh, there you
Okay.
are. Okay.
Okay. I can't answer the question that you just asked because I haven't seen a proposal and I didn't go to the city council meeting. So it's very unclear what proposal we're talking about. Is this just like any proposal in the flood affected area in Barre City? Or do you have a proposal in mind that you've seen?
There is a proposal that's being put forward. It's kind of just a generic kind of sketch and overview of the affected area of the North End and some other areas. But no, there's two things going on at the same time. I think we need to look at this in general for any kind of development, as well as certain project-specific things. So if the question is it going to create economic disparity, how would we know that if we didn't know who the people are and what their economic situation is, the people who have been affected? So it's both at the same time, Emily.
Yes. Okay. So I do know, I have been thinking about this question of data collection. And one thing I think is a barrier to collecting this data is the paperwork involved, like the physical paperwork and handing it out. But then where does it go? Like, how are we making sure it comes back? Like, I have seen that is a barrier to this data collection.
One of the things that was done, canvassing house to house is one way, certainly. And then we would have to have, you're right, some kind of formal mechanism with the city so that the city is actually the one collecting the data. And they would perfectly be in their rights to do so. And then the city could keep it. But Rick, we know there's probably nobody to do this, but what I'm going to ask you, Rick, is I know that the city hired a temporary worker to kind of coordinate some of the recovery activities. Is he still working for us?
He is no longer working for us, but we do have a person that is, I believe, I'm working on the offer letter right now, but I believe that person is coming on board under a grant, and her role is dealing with housing and dealing with I believe income barriers to housing. And my thought is that person's going to be probably one of the best resources for this group to help us try to figure out the answers to these questions. She's going to have access to state people that have some of this information. I don't know if she'll be going door to door. I'm not really clear on the defined role yet. I just know that it's a grant funded position for a couple of years to help deal with housing and low income and diversity and stuff like that. So once I get a better idea of what that person's doing, I can send an email to the group to kind of let you guys know what they're doing.
What would her start date be?
I'm not even sure. I got an email from Nicholas when I was on vacation, and he asked me to draft up an offer letter, and I just haven't got it finished because he's out with COVID, and I don't really know enough of the details to put together an offer letter.
Got it. But do you think, Rick, that it would be a good idea for us to get out in front of this so that it's top of mind when they start to figure out when her supervisors begin to, who's going to be her supervisor?
Um, Probably Nicholas, because she's a grant funded position through the state, and I'm assuming that Nicholas will kind of be the point person on that. Again, I don't know enough of the details really. I just know that it was talked about, it's been approved. This person has agreed to take the position, but the person that we had before was more just coordinating volunteer activities.
Right.
And so that this person is supposed to be more looking at how do we secure grants, how do we secure funding for low income housing, how do we estimate the need, how do we, that's based on what I know, that's what I believe that position is, but I'm still just I know the very fringes of it. That's it. So once I know more, I can definitely give you guys an email that says what they're doing.
Do you have a job description for this person?
Nope, because I don't know what they're doing. I can't put it together yet.
How could you hire someone? I don't understand. How would the person know what they were being hired for?
Well, because it's a grant through the state that basically says we'll give you money if you have this position to do this kind of work.
And
But
what's
I
the,
haven't seen the grant. I don't know what's in the grant. I don't know what the requirements are in the grant. I need all of that stuff so that I can draft the job description, draft an offer letter, and get it out to the person.
so do you know the name of the grant?
I don't. Like I said, I haven't even seen it. I just know that it's been approved. I know Nicholas was working on it with somebody from the state, and other than that, I just don't have any other information on it.
Okay.
But once I get it, I will forward it on so you know what that person's role is, because it may tie very closely to what we're trying to do.
William, I see your little hand.
There are a couple of things that I think we can look at. One is that there are records in terms of the housing, the people who own houses in the affected areas, and what their house values are. And while we probably wouldn't be able to get the information, those who are on low incomes, who have income sensitivity as far as how much they have to pay to the city in terms of property taxes, the city would have that information, I believe would have that information. They wouldn't be, I doubt they would be able to share the information with us, but they would have the information that they could probably, I don't know what they'd be able to provide, but that's something. They might be able to provide general details that are not specific, but I think Rick might be able to say more about that than I would.
Well, I'm thinking that certainly if there were an effort to do a door-to-door work, that would also involve volunteers. So it would maybe behoove us to suggest to the council that this new person coming on be a coordinator of an effort to do that kind of door-to-door survey. I mean, that's cool.
So I do have a little bit more information.
Okay.
It's through the Office of Economic Opportunity in partnership with local organizations. Create and fund a homelessness and housing liaison position, lead efforts aimed at ending homelessness and promoting safe, affordable housing in Barre City. They'll report to the city manager. They'll develop and maintain collaborative relationships with their local continuum of care to ensure coordination of effective services, regular participation in meetings, coordinate efforts related to homelessness, lead canvassing efforts to locate homeless individuals, identify housing situations and seek opportunities for new and repurposed housing, work with interested groups, stakeholders, and advocates to formulate a clear public advocacy campaign and develop consistent messaging around target populations. Needs to be met in investments to meet the need of local and state national funders. Develop a comprehensive data system to help inform policy making. So it sounds like kind of in line with what we're trying to do as well.
Well, certainly the canvassing piece, that's the piece that, and if you're going to organize a canvassing, I mean, it sounded like it might just be canvassing to find homeless folks, but, you know, maybe we can expand that to canvass the neighborhood to find people who are, you know, fitting in these categories.
I think that the city manager has the ability to add information that we're gathering. So it could ask if they're a member of a minority group.
Right. Right.
Or, yeah.
Okay. Sonia.
Thank you. I have a couple questions about, well, to William's point about tax information, that will tell us some of the story, but my concern for people who are renting, the person who's paying property tax will be the landlord and not necessarily the person living in the home, or if it's multi-units, the families, the multiple families that are living in the home. And then I'm hopeful that on a survey where we're going door to door would be productive and get us the information we want. I'm concerned because I know when right after the flood, the administrators from the school district went out and knocked on doors where they knew there were families who had kids in our district who go to our school, and they were hesitant to answer questions. They were concerned about the way that it was described to me was they're concerned about putting their name and having their information. They just don't want to be part of a paper trail. There's a concern that was conveyed to the people knocking on doors and doing canvassing. So I think we have to find a way to be able to assure people that we're just trying to help them and not necessarily ask for social security numbers and names and that sort of thing, because I think we need to be aware that people may not be willing to share information with us if we are really wanting very specific data, if you understand what I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely. And I agree with you. It has to be a delicate and respectful process all around, including, not taking information from someone who doesn't want to give it. I mean, obviously. But, there are other ways too. There are things like SurveyMonkey, but I don't think that if you have no heat in your house and you're living somewhere else, SurveyMonkey isn't going to help you. So I really think that, something a little bit more comprehensive actually would help. But, even if we did a survey that was anonymous, we would have the information that the planners might need to meet these questions on the assessment. I mean, if we kind of look at the assessment and can figure out what kinds of questions would satisfy it, perhaps, you don't have to ask someone, oh, well, how much money do you make? It doesn't have to be like that. It can't be because, that's kind of, that's too aggressive. Thank you. So that's one of the tough ones. And I think the rest of them, even if we look at them, which other communities or local stakeholders may have an interest in this proposal or its outcome. So I mean, that's pretty simple in a way, because we know that that FEMA through the federal government is going to be a stakeholder. We know that there are, right now it's Black River Design, but other developers in the community. And that kind of leads me to the one that's, I think it's the last one, which is, can you scroll down a little bit, Rick? Where is it? The one where it asks who's going to do the developing. Are you going to pay attention to? Oh, here it is. Does the proposal encourage? It's at the top. Or prioritize contractors led by members of marginalized groups. This may include, but is not limited to, vendors designated as minority or women-owned business enterprises or disadvantaged business enterprises. So it seems to me, I know that's not true. That's not Black River Design necessarily, but it could be. I don't know. So maybe a question like that is another thing to put to the city council. Like, are they going to take it to that level? Are they going to be able to talk about that to their potential vendors? Okay, let's see. I think the rest of the questions pretty much would need to be in some kind of survey. Geographic area we can certainly get. I am curious why the area shown in the design included more than those places that were affected by the flood, and it didn't include an area below me on South Seminary, which actually had worse flood than First Street. So so I'm curious why they chose those particular areas. Let's see what else is up on here. And then, does the proposal seek to reduce disparities for groups of people who are marginalized or underserved? So to me, that means that we would have to make sure that these developments have kind of a mixed bag, where you would have some low income. I mean, that's pretty common these days, but maybe there could be some other like a certain number of units that are handicap accessible, that kind of thing. Emily, did you want to say something? Emily, are you there?
Sorry, no, sorry, I'm having technical.
That's okay. Did you want to
Thank you. Thank you.
No, I guess she doesn't. Okay. So and then here's the other thing. I didn't notice it on the plan. It could happen, I guess. One of the things, of course, that the downtown has been missing for a long time is a real supermarket. So this question here that says, does the proposal seek to reduce disparities? Oh, does the proposal enhance services to communities that are underrepresented? So right now, anyone in the downtown that doesn't drive, that wants to go buy groceries, goes to what do they call that discount store? What the heck's the name of it?
The Dollar General.
Yeah, Dollar General.
Dollar General or Beverage Baron.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe we can encourage the developers to include some type of supermarket. I mean, that certainly would be advantageous to the whole city, not just the people in the North End, but that's a way that whatever the proposal is enhances the services to the community. Or, for example, like the although I don't think they use it that way anymore, but when the North Barre Manor was built, one of the compensating things around how do they address community or how do they connect with community was that they had a community center that was open to the community to use as a meeting center, which I don't think since COVID they've been doing that. But anyway, something like that, where there would be some public spaces included in the development. So what I'm thinking is to put together I don't want to, well, I guess we could call it a proposal to the city to kind of get ahead even of this person who's coming on as a worker, to say that maybe the things that we think could happen to facilitate getting information needed for the redevelopment. Now, I know because I asked the state people if the state asked if the state was activating this tool, this assessment tool, because this is a state tool that they have said that they were going to use. But they said no, that this first design was just a kind of, well, I don't think they used the term off the cuff, but basically just an imaginary sketch to work from. To me, that's exactly the wrong way to develop a plan. I kind of think you need to talk to people first and find out what their needs are, and look at the information, and then go from there to ask people what they need, as opposed to, you know, trotting out a sketch and then asking people, well, what do you think? That kind of sets it up in a way that might not be as helpful if we didn't do it the other way around. Like, go to the folks in the neighborhood and find out. Now, I know that the state was concerned that we hurry up, but that we also take our time, which I found a very interesting concept. To take your time and do the thing right, but the money's going to disappear really soon, so you better hurry. So I think in the spirit of the state, really, I mean, I think they're sincere that they want to help us, don't get me wrong, but, you know, it also looks pretty good if you come right back with a plan, you know, and so I'm not sure quite how to do anything except try to support the redevelopment in a way that makes sense for that community. I mean, our community. I mean, I live in this neighborhood. All right, so how are people feeling about putting something together to bring to council to kind of give, I mean, not to tell them what to do, but to just offer a suggestion as to how this tool could be used? What do people think? Sonia?
I think it would be very helpful, and I think that you know, I'm curious. I wasn't able to attend the city council meeting either, but I wonder it to your point about not asking the people who live in the neighborhoods, did they ever ask anyone what we wanted? Because it doesn't feel like they did. And, you know, what was the question ever asked? What is the goal of the project? What are your objectives? Is it to replace all of the units so that we have we're able to house the same number of people that were in those neighborhoods, and in a way that they won't be impacted by floods in the future? What is the goal? Because it seems like it's a great proposal, but what's the point of it if we're not all on the same page about what the goal is? And I don't even know if the city was asked what it seems like the state, to me, because I was at the meeting where they talked about they had this money and they've already contracted with Black River Design, and the city council just sat there and thought, oh, this is fabulous. But it's like they're coming in to save us on a white horse and tell us how they're going to fix everything, but never asked us what we wanted. And so it seems a bit backwards to me.
I agree. Two things. I think they're counting the Barre Up meetings at the Opera House. And also there was a meeting that was at the Northbury Manor with the residents there. But the goal of that meeting was to ask the residents how they felt about living in a high-rise. That was the basic, essential question for that meeting. I'm thinking it's to bolster up or to give some information about high-rise living, because I think there was at least one high-rise structure in the plan, or maybe they're thinking about another high-rise structure to accommodate. So those are the only three community meetings I know about, and I think there were 100 people at the Opera House. Rick, were you there?
I was for the first one. The second one, I was on vacation. I wasn't there.
So how many people came to the first one?
Oh, there was probably 75 people there, not counting like the CVEDC people and all the other people that were just in attendance.
Okay, William?
I think the other thing that would be helpful too is to talk to people in other areas, the communities in other areas that have dealt with flooding, and what they found to be helpful. I have an uncle, for instance, who lives in Broad Channel in New York, which is in the middle of Jamaica Bay, and what they basically, none of the houses have basements. Most of the houses are built up so that they're about 4 feet or 6 feet above ground level, so that if there is a flood, it doesn't reach the house itself. And there are also houses that are built on the water too, that like you have stilts and so forth. So it may be a helpful thing for city council to look into other communities and what they did after serious flooding.
Emily? Thank you, William. Emily, you need to unmute. There you go.
I'm here. Thank you. I support bringing a document to city council and asking these questions in a meeting and asking for more information, asking to see the proposal, if more than one is being considered. And I wonder, Joellen, if you would be willing to share this in a Google Doc so we could kind of format it together. I have some ideas about organization that might make it easier. I'd be willing to do some of that too, and add some of the questions that Sonia and William have been asking as well.
So here's what I'm going to ask, I'm taking notes, but just to make sure, when we put it in the Google Docs, would people please read it, look at it, and make additions or corrections if we haven't verbalized correctly what you've been saying? I mean, well, first of all, if I can read my own handwriting, I could certainly get through my notes. but I'm always a little, concerned about that, because what interested me in what you said may not, be something. Oh, you know what? Emily, are you taking minutes, by the way? I forgot to ask for minutes.
Yes, I'm taking minutes.
Thank you.
Of
So
course.
anyway, could people please, so here's what I think we can do. We're going to have it, I don't think the person's going to come on anyway anytime soon, and I think there's going to be a little bit more discussion before a shovel hits the ground. So I think maybe I'll work on the document over the weekend, get it up on Google Docs, maybe with some tech help in case I can't do it, because sometimes I'm unsuccessful. And then the next time we meet, which will be what, 3 weeks? You'll all be able to see it and everything, and then I'll get us on the city council that following Tuesday, so that we can bring it to the council directly and let them know. I mean, I always send things to them for their packet, but I just mean so that we're there to present it to them. Greg.
Yeah, one of the things I'm thinking is that well, yeah, it is a good idea to do present to the city council a document with recommendations and suggestions. But the other thing we need to be thinking about is sort of oversight of what eventually takes place, because there's a number of different parts going on that could very easily go into an area where people are not thinking about the same issues that we are. And the first one, obviously, is to make sure they don't put people back in areas that flood, obviously. And also, when it comes to gathering data, I completely understand why it was so difficult to get honest answers, because people were very much in very guarded mode after being flooded out of house and home. But I know one of the things that I've heard out there is there is outreach for trying to get people with heating systems that are not working, for them to make themselves known. And I think the city, in the best interest of everyone, really should end up going door to door to anyone who they might suspect has a heating system problem and do it quickly. Because some people are just not reaching out for whatever reason. So, but as we go through this and try to take a look at how we can help the city make some really positive and responsible changes as they try to develop this, just to develop this community. We do have to make sure that we take an interest as things, whenever they get going, as they get going. And then the other thing is regarding choosing, who the contractors are going to be, et cetera, et cetera. It would be interesting if somebody somewhere takes a look at, the track record of these companies, and do they just go in and do a big old gentrification project and price people out or whatever. That's an important thing for us to keep track of as well. So how we're going to do that, I'm not sure, but as things go along, contracts, documents, etc., will start showing up, and we might be able to exert some kind of influence, if appropriate.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah. I know that other cities, I think even Burlington, actually do have some things in place to support contractors that are focused on equity and diversity. Yeah. So maybe that I'll see if I can find an ordinance somewhere to that effect. Because if it's not here in Vermont, I know there are some communities. I know New York City, for example, does that, and I think they do it not with a stick, but with a carrot. I think how they do it is they offer bonuses or something like that. I can't remember, but something of that sort. Okay, so I'll try to get that up on Google Docs as soon as possible, and then we should all look at it and check on it and add and subtract and do whatever we have to do to work it into shape so that we can vote on it at our next meeting and then go to City Council. Anyone else have anything to say on the topic? Okay, Rick, do you want to go back to the regular screen for us? Thank you. Okay, so the second thing on the agenda we're going to have to postpone as well, because I know that it really hasn't come to a place where it can be brought before us. This is referring to the statement about Gaza and Israel. So Chris, let me just ask you, you had a question, and that was which format should be used for that? Should it be a resolution or just a letter of support? Was that your question? You have to turn your mic on.
Sorry. Yeah. When we as a committee responded to all the Asian American violence, Marichelle wrote up a actual resolution that was adopted by council. Whereas when we were responding to, I don't even remember what the issue was, but I wrote a statement which I read at a city council meeting. So I think, either we could use either approach. I don't think it really matters, but I didn't know if the committee had any feelings about that. So regarding the statement, William did write a draft, which he sent to me. I have not had time to write my own draft. I sent William an email, proposing that we meet and discuss this, and I, hopefully that will happen soon. Of course, events are moving very quickly. I guess tonight. So I don't know, but I am wondering about how we're gonna do this. Like, will it be an actual council resolution that council will vote on, or are we simply gonna read a statement as the committee to council and have it on the public record?
How are people feeling about those options? So let's just, Emily, go ahead.
Thanks. It's hard to know without seeing a draft to understand which would be the more appropriate, a resolution or a statement. Because they're very different things. City council would have to pass a resolution, is that correct?
Yes.
But a statement is something different that we could read at a council meeting, right, to make public record. So without knowing the content, it's hard to understand which way we should go, in my opinion. Thanks.
Yeah. Anyone else? Sonia.
I agree with Emily. I think it would be important to see this statement. I wonder if we were to read a statement and encourage, if I mean we can ask the council to approve a resolution, but they may or may not do it. It's obviously up to them, right? And so I guess what I'm wondering is what the original intent was. We talked about making a statement, and I think that was William's suggestion, and I think it's a good one. But I'm wondering, we all agreed that's a great idea, but I don't I don't think we really agreed on what the original intent was, and we just said, hey, we want to make a statement about this. So I think if I'm just imagining how it may be best for us to focus on making a statement. I think that was what William originally proposed, if I'm remembering correctly. And maybe encourage the council to come up with their own resolution, because it's theirs. It would be their resolution and not ours. And our statement maybe is a jumping off point for them.
Thank you, Sonia. Greg.
Okay.
Sorry, Greg first and then William.
Yeah, I was gonna say what Sonia just said. We can come up with the statement, and we can invite the city council to come up with their resolution. Because I think a resolution sends a stronger statement, and at the very least, we would get a statement in there.
William.
What I've written is basically a statement.
Right.
And so, as opposed to writing it in resolution form. So I think probably it would make more, in many ways, it would make more sense to be a statement. Of course, a statement can be, if we decide after reading the statement that we want it to be a resolution, it wouldn't be, we can just say we resolve that. Or in as much, and add the in as muches and so forth. But I designed it as a statement.
Right. To me, the major difference would be if we brought it to them as a statement, we make it, that's it. And maybe a suggestion that they do something. If we brought it as a resolution, they have to take it up and discuss it. I mean, they don't have to, but I'm just saying that it bumps it up to a little bit higher level. So let's start out and make it kind of easy for you two. Let's start out with a statement. We'll put that up on Google Docs if you wish, or just work on it yourselves. That's fine. But then get it out to us before the next meeting so we have a chance to look at it and think about it ourselves.
Okay, and I did send what I proposed to the D&D email address. So just before the meeting, or actually at the beginning of the meeting. So
okay.
When is our next meeting? Just so I could.
I have to say that anyway. Hold on, I don't have my glasses. November 9th? November 9th? That's Thursday, right? November 9th at 6:30. So that's what, 2 weeks? About 2 weeks.
yeah, about 2 weeks.
Yeah, that, I don't, that's the night before the holiday. I don't know if that matters, but I'm just mentioning it.
A holiday.
Veterans Day is Saturday,
Yeah.
but it's celebrated on Friday.
All right.
But
Anything else?
at least we won't be doing the resolution on the Sabbath, which it occurred to me that if we'd done it tonight.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, comfortable. Or
The
ironic.
statement.
Yes, got it. Okay, so thanks everyone for coming. We're gonna have a what do you call it?
Oh, and November 9th would be appropriate because that, I think, was that Kristallnacht?
It was Kristallnacht,
Mhm.
November 9th.
Okay.
Okay, do we need a motion to adjourn?
I'm
Second.
so sorry to interrupt. We need to have
Oh.
public comment.
Oh, I forgot. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Emily.
sorry, it's Emily. Yeah,
Got lost.
can't forget that.
So, yeah, is there any public comment from anyone? Okay, well, thanks everyone for coming, and I think we have to do this over again, so please.
Motion to adjourn.
Until our next meeting on November 9th.
That's our next meeting.
Anyone second?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
And I'll get the minutes for the last meeting.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Then I wrote them down, but I'm not sure where they are right now. So
Oh. Well, that's okay because you can look at the video.
I can if I have to.
Take care, everyone.
Okay,
Night.
bye.
Good night.
Good night, Emily.